She is at the kitchen table at 30 weeks, the late afternoon kind of tired that makes her want something sweet. She eats a slice of cake, maybe 2 bites of leftover chocolate, maybe a handful of dried mango from the jar on the counter. 5 minutes pass, maybe 7, and then her belly comes alive. Not the slow, lazy rolls she gets in the morning, not the rhythmic kicks she has come to know in the evenings. A full body workout, a sudden, sustained, almost playful burst of motion that lasts 10 or 15 minutes and then settles back into the usual rhythm. She has noticed this pattern for weeks now. Sweets, then a small private dance party in her abdomen. Most pregnant women notice it eventually. Most just smile, set down the fork, and say, "My baby loves sugar." It is one of those small pregnancy in-jokes that women share with each other and with the universe, a quiet acknowledgement that something is going on between her body and her baby's body that no one really explains. But what is actually happening in those 5 minutes is far stranger and far more intimate than any pregnancy book describes. And the truth of it changes how she will think about every meal she eats for the rest of her pregnancy and, in some quiet ways, for the rest of her life as a mother who is also feeding someone else. She does the thing every pregnant woman does. She opens her phone and types the question, "Why does my baby move more after I eat sweets?" The answer she gets is always the same. A short line on a hospital website, a reassuring blurb in a pregnancy app. Babies often become more active after meals because the mother's blood sugar rises. It is normal. There is nothing to worry about. Move on. The answer is true. The answer is also so incomplete that it borders on misleading. Because what is really happening between her body and her baby's body in that quiet 5-minute window is one of the most extraordinary biological conversations in human development, and almost no one in modern obstetric care has the time to explain it properly. But here is what nobody tells her. Her baby is not just becoming more active. Her baby is tasting what she just ate. And the science behind that one sentence is so unexpected and so quietly tender that it ought to be on the first page of every pregnancy book printed and read out loud at every baby shower in the world. For most of medical history, the placenta was understood as a barrier, a protective membrane that filtered the mother's blood, separated mother from baby, and shielded the developing fetus from the chaos of maternal life. Doctors imagined that flavors, smells, and small molecules from the mother's diet stayed safely on the mother's side. The fetus, in this view, was a sealed-off passenger fed on a sterile, neutral broth of nutrients delivered through the umbilical cord, untouched by what mom had for lunch. It was a convenient model. It was almost entirely wrong. By the late 20th century, researchers had begun to suspect that the placenta is not a barrier at all. It is a translator, a two-way bridge that constantly relays chemical information from the maternal body to the fetal one. Hormones, antibodies, nutrients, stress signals, and, it turned out, the actual flavors of the food the mother is eating. The old textbook image of the womb as a sealed chamber was replaced, over the course of 2 decades of careful research, by a far more accurate image. The womb is a deeply communicative environment, in constant dialogue with the world outside, and the medium of that dialogue is the very stream of nutrients keeping the baby alive. The pioneering work came out of the Monell Chemical Senses Center in Philadelphia, where Dr. Julie Manella and her colleagues spent years studying flavor learning in utero. Their findings, published across a series of papers in the late 1990s and early 2000s, changed the field. Amniotic fluid, the warm sea the fetus floats in for 9 months, takes on the flavors of the mother's diet within hours of a meal. Garlic, carrot, vanilla, anise, sugar, all of it crosses into the amniotic fluid in measurable concentrations. The team confirmed this by collecting amniotic fluid samples from mothers who had consumed specific foods and asking panels of adult tasters to identify the flavors. The panels could do it. They could tell that a specific mother had eaten garlic. They could tell another had eaten cumin. The amniotic fluid was, in chemical terms, a diluted but recognizable version of the mother's diet. And the fetus, who begins swallowing amniotic fluid in the second trimester and continues doing so for the rest of pregnancy at a rate of nearly a liter a day by late pregnancy, is essentially drinking the flavor of every meal mom eats. By the 3rd trimester, a baby has been taste tested on thousands of versions of mom's diet. Sugar is one of the fastest and most detectable of those flavors. Maternal glucose crosses the placenta within minutes through a process called facilitated diffusion, which is biology's word for the cellular machinery that almost instantly shuttles glucose from one bloodstream to the other on demand. The fetus's blood sugar rises along with the mother's. The fetal heart rate climbs, the fetus becomes more active, and the amniotic fluid sweetens. The baby is, in the most literal sense possible, sharing dessert with her, and the response is more nuanced than just movement. Researchers using continuous fetal heart rate monitoring have shown that a maternal sugar spike produces a specific signature in fetal heart rate variability that is distinct from the response to other foods. Within 5 to 10 minutes of the mother eating, the fetal heart rate climbs, the variability widens, and the activity pattern shifts in a way that researchers can identify on a monitor without being told what the mother just ate. The baby is not just being woken up by the metabolic effect of the glucose. The baby is also, in some small way, registering the sensory information riding along with it, the sweetness in the amniotic fluid, the change in the chemical environment of their entire world. The fetus has functional taste buds by the second trimester of pregnancy, and those taste buds are working. Studies have shown that injecting a small amount of sweet substance into the amniotic fluid increases fetal swallowing rates within minutes, while injecting a bitter substance decreases them, sometimes producing visible grimacing in the fetal face on ultrasound. The fetus is already, in the only way they can, making choices about flavor. They are not just passive recipients of mom's diet. They are responding to it, preferring some parts of it, turning away from others, and quietly building the foundation of a palate that will shape every meal they ever eat for the rest of their life. The reframe lands harder than most expectant mothers expect. The kicks she feels after a sweet are not a reaction in the abstract. They are not metabolic byproduct. They are the response of a small human being who has just registered that something tastes good and is responding the way humans have always responded to pleasure. With movement, with energy, with life. The baby is not just absorbing her diet. The baby is being introduced to it. Every meal mom has eaten for the last few months has been a small, silent culinary lesson, delivered through the most ancient communication system on Earth. And by the time the baby is born, the flavor, preferences they will carry into the first months and years of life will already have been shaped, in part, by what she liked to eat while she carried them. There is something almost staggering about that idea when she sits with it. The cuisine of her household, the food culture of her family, the seasoning of the dishes she most often cooks, will already be partially familiar to her baby on the day they are born. Their first taste of life outside her body will already echo with the flavors of her life inside it. And here is the part the prenatal pamphlets almost never mention because it is too easy to misuse and too hard to summarize in a single sentence. The flavor preferences a baby develops in utero are not random, and they are not just academic curiosities. The Manila team ran a now-famous follow-up experiment that became one of the most cited studies in the field. They divided pregnant women into groups. One group drank carrot juice during the final months of pregnancy. Another group did not. After the babies were born and began eating solids around 6 months of age, the researchers offered both groups of babies cereal made with carrot juice. The babies whose mothers had consumed carrot juice during pregnancy showed clear, statistically significant preference for the carrot-flavored cereal. They made fewer disgust faces. They ate more. They fussed less. They had been, in effect, pre-introduced. The same principle holds for the broader pattern of maternal diet. The flavors of the world mom lives in become the flavors of the world the baby expects to inherit. Sweet, savory, bitter, sour, herbal, smoky, spiced. All of it is being calibrated in those quiet swallows of amniotic fluid. The baby is learning what food tastes like and learning to expect it long before they ever take their first bite of anything outside her body. Their lifelong relationship with food, and a small but real part of their relationship with the culture she belongs to, is being seeded right now, with every meal she eats. There is something almost moving in the idea that a baby is being culturally placed before they are even born. A baby whose mother eats a lot of garlic during pregnancy will have an easier time with garlic in the first solids. A baby whose mother eats spicy food during the third trimester will be more accepting of spicy food in their first year. A baby whose mother eats the foods of her grandmother will, in some small chemical sense, already know what her grandmother's kitchen tastes like before they have ever set foot in it. The baby is not just inheriting genes. The baby is inheriting a flavor library. Their first preferences in life are being seeded by what mom found delicious during the months she was carrying them. This is, in the most ancient sense possible, what it means to be part of a family before you have ever met them. The food is the message, the amniotic fluid is the envelope, and the baby is the reader, learning to read in the only language they will know before they know words. Centuries of culinary tradition, in some small way, are being passed forward not through cookbooks or family dinners or grandmother's instructions, but through the warm sea around a baby who has not yet been born and through the slow, steady work of taste buds learning, swallow by swallow, what the world they are about to enter is going to feel like in the mouth. Now, before any of this becomes a reason for guilt, which it absolutely should not be, there is one thing worth saying clearly. This is not a story about what mom should or should not eat. It is not a prescription. It is not a warning. Most healthy diets during pregnancy produce healthy, well-adjusted eaters, and the occasional slice of cake is not a problem and never was. The only place where maternal blood sugar genuinely matters in a clinical sense is in the context of gestational diabetes, which is screened for between 24 and 28 weeks of pregnancy and managed by a provider if it appears. If she has been told she is at risk, or if she has noticed unusual symptoms like extreme thirst, sudden changes in energy, or unusual fatigue that her provider has not yet evaluated, those are signals worth raising at her next appointment. Her provider can run the right tests. Her provider can tell her what, if anything, she should do differently. For the vast majority of pregnant women, the lesson here is not restriction. The lesson is awareness. What she eats is also, in a small but real way, what her baby eats, and the baby is paying attention. So the next time she sits down with something sweet and feels that familiar burst of movement 5 minutes later, she should know exactly what is happening. Her baby is not hyperactive. Her baby is not buzzing on sugar. Her baby is tasting what she is tasting, in the only way a not yet born person can taste anything, through the warm, shared sea of amniotic fluid that is currently the entire ocean of their life. Every kick after a meal is, in some quiet way, a thank you. Every flutter is a small private celebration of a flavor she has just delivered. By the time she meets her baby on the outside, this small person will already have an entire library of remembered tastes, all of them assembled in those quiet moments at the kitchen table when she thought she was only eating for herself. She was not. She has been hosting the most patient dinner guest in the world, and her baby has been quietly, gratefully, paying attention to every bite she has taken since the second trimester began. If this video gave you a new way to feel those after-meal kicks, take a moment to like and subscribe, because we go deep on the science your pregnancy app is too rushed to explain. Leave a comment telling us what food made your baby move the most and what flavors are now part of your family's story. Tell us the meal that woke your baby up the most. Tell us the food your grandmother used to make, the one you found yourself craving in the third trimester, the one you suspect your baby will one day call home. We read every one of these comments because the kitchen is where so much of a family is built, and pregnancy is where that building begins. Take care of yourself this week. We will see you in the next one.